Hey guys, HW. Back in the city, back in the big smoke. It's Friday morning. We've had a little bit of rain over the past week. So all the ground of Hyde Park here where I'm standing at the moment is really wet. And the rain's been coming on and off all week. Sun's trying to come out up there. Maybe as I stand next to the statue of Jimmy Cook here, Captain James Cook, maybe he's got his arm extended up into the sky hoping for the rain to stop as well. Centre Point Tower in the background. Now this is take 2 for this. I tried filming the exact same thing before and realised my microphone wasn't working. On the inscription on the side of the I'm not going to walk onto the ground here because it's soaking wet. But the inscription on the side of the statue there is pointing to the fact that poor old James Cook was killed at Hawaii by the natives. So anyway, the plan for today is we're going to get over into the centre of the city in a minute. And the reason why we're going over there is I've been informed by a local lad by the name of John.Lockedin on Instagram. He's a young fella that does a lot of really good takes on different historical buildings in Sydney. And in one of his I don't know whether it's latest, I picked it up on my own Instagram. He did a sort of expose into the GPO, the Sydney GPO building, which I've walked past so many times, and I've covered a little bit with the Matrix films, and I always like to walk through the veranda around the outside through the different archways. But he's given me a bit of perspective on the history of the building itself and a few things that adorn it. And I want to make note of those in the video today. So on the way over through Hyde Park, we'll have a little skirt and we'll also see what's happening in the centre of the city. And most importantly, I've got to get myself a nectar. And I'm thinking that I'm going to try that little kiosk coffee shop, which I keep walking past and failing to secure a coffee from. But as we walk along here, we might as well do the weather. The weather in Sydney, it's only going to get up to 21 degrees Celsius today. The wind's currently from the west at 22 kilometres an hour. And the rain's starting to sprinkle here on the intersection of Park Street, which dissects Hyde Park. And we'll get across and start making our way over to the Pitt Street Mall, and then we'll get down Pitt Street to the location which is going to be the focal point for the video today, which is the GPO. But we'll get around the other streets as well. Oh, I forgot to mention, I'm wearing my Rabbitohs hat today because it's Magic Round up in Brisbane this weekend. Magic Round, for those of you that don't know, is a rugby league festival held up in Brisbane each year, and all the teams from the from the Australian Rugby League, the NRL, travel up to Queensland and play each other. Souths are playing on Saturday. There's a couple of games tonight, so looking forward to that. So go the Bunnies. Geez, that crane's making a noise. You probably won't pick it up, but it's groaning under the weight of whatever that is that they're lifting up. Even though the wind's blowing from the west, the rain clouds are coming in from the ocean. I don't know how that works, but maybe they're little storm clouds, I'm not sure. I've ended up getting my feet wet already. The front of my shoes a bit soaking. So we'll have a little skirt through the centre of the city, and then we'll make our way over to that little coffee stand that I want to try next to the GPO and grab a nectar, and then I'll set up the camera to focus on the focal point for today, which is the GPO. I just managed to sneak under the awnings here along the Pitt Street Mall as it starts to rain again. That's one delightful thing about Sydney. There's always awnings above the shops in the city that you can hide under when the rain comes down. That guy's always in the Pitt Street Mall. He makes pretty cool little metal sculpted figurines.
Yes.
Oh wow, I wasn't expecting that. Have a geezer at the big Star Wars TIE fighter here. Is that all part of that Empire Strikes Back anniversary, is it? I don't know whether they're doing it in conjunction with the Lego store, or is it one of the other tech companies in the Pitt Street Mall? I don't know. Get back out of the rain. Already bumped into a few tourists. Plenty of them getting around. Sprinkling of rain's not distracting them. Just stepped into the foyer of 130 Pitt Street to make some adjustments to the camera. Before we head back out, it's probably a good thing that we're having a coffee first, because the rain's coming down and that's going to make it difficult to do what I want to do with the GPO. This is one exception to the rule along this part of Pitt Street. There's no awning just here in between King and Martin Place.
Other people saying to me, Nick, this is fucking what I see.
Here it is. Here's the little nectar joint that I want to try, that I've always walked past and not purchased from. Diggy Doos. Let's go over and secure one. So we'll wait for the skilled barista to extract the delicious beans for HW. I was just joking with her when I made my order. I said to take away. Like, what am I going to do? sit on the ground. There's nowhere to eat in anyway or drink in. But they did say that when it is sunny and it's not raining, they do put a few chairs out for you. Anyway, here's to Dicky Doo in Pitt Street. Yeah, I rate it. Delicious. Get into it. Anyway, but that's where we're heading in a second, over there to the GPO to do a bit of an expose, but I think I might wait till it stops raining first. Just focusing across the road. I'm currently standing in the foyer or the stairs of the old Commonwealth Bank, built in 1913 or finished in 1913, according to that stone over there. Or maybe that's just when the stone was put there, I don't know. But look, what we're here to see today is we're actually here to see the carvings or the sculptures on the side of the building, which I've never bothered to look at before all the years I've been walking past. And I'd like to make note in particular to the sculptor whose work adorns the GPO, and that's a Mr. Thomas Valence Rand, an Englishman who was a Ruskinian Romanesque sculptor, I hope that's how you pronounce it, who arrived in Australia in 1870 and worked with the various architects in Sydney to do a few different sculptures, but most notably the heads that align the keystones on top of each of the arches of the GPO. And we're going to get over there in a minute. I'm going to do my best to get as close as possible to the heads. I've got an extension pole, and we'll see what we film. And then after that, we're going to have a look at some that I'm actually facing towards now. There was another sculptor, an Italian one, I believe, that sculpted some on the side here on Pitt Street. Here we are, having a look at the sculpted heads on the side of the GPO. Let's start off with this one. There's 24 stones in all on the arches apparently, and this one we're looking at now directly above me is representing Canada. That's the best I can do with the pole that I've got. It's not long enough. And here's another one. The reason these stones were put here is the GPO itself was seen as like the key hub of communication for the newly emerging colony of Australia, and so they try to represent the rest of the world with these, with their heads on the keystones, or Thomas Rand did anyway. I don't know if it's helping the pole getting you any closer to them. There's another one. I'm not going to go through and name every single one. But another thing we should probably make note of is the columns themselves. Apparently Thomas Rand, in these carvings on the columns, used some indigenous art or Australian native flora and fauna. I must say a couple of the heads look very similar. Or maybe they're supposed to be, I don't know. Oh, here we've got the actual states of Australia. This one up here says Queensland. Oh no, sorry, this one says Tasmania. That one over there says Queensland. What's this one say? I can't read that one.
Okay.
Can't read that one either. I wonder if there's any on the George Street side as well. Oh, that one up there says West Australia or Western Australia. I'm assuming that one up there with the headdress has got to be an Indian or maybe an islander. I'm not sure. I can't read the inscription on it. I know they have it on the other side as well, but you can see the British coat of arms that Thomas Rand sculpted into the side of the GPO there. Yeah, and there's one on the other side in Pitt Street as well. And then we move further down and we've got the Australian coat of arms. The kangaroo and the emu. See if we can focus on one of those columns with the Australian flora and fauna. And when I was having a look on the net, one of these columns had the Australian flora and fauna, and I could definitely see some sort of bird, and I thought it might have been a lorikeet, but I haven't found it yet. Still looking. Me and this pigeon are looking together. He's trying to find it as well. Still looking for the particular sculpture on the columns that had the flora and fauna on it. But in a minute we're going to get around into Pitt Street and we're going to have a look at another addition to the sculptures, and that was one of a Italian immigrant by the name of Tommaso Sani, I think his name was. Let me check my phone again. Yeah, Tommaso Sani, Italian immigrant. And apparently his sculptures on the side of Pitt Street, which we'll have a look at in a minute, his inspiration was all of the local businessmen and tradesmen and different people in the new colony of Sydney and Australia. As the rain starts to come down again, here's his inclusion here. He sculpted all of these characters of the new colony. He's got bankers up there, and it looks like a little kid there, that one. He got different tradesmen, builders, architects. They're all included in his sculptures here on the Pitt Street side. Again, there's that other British coat of arms there, done by Mr. Rand. Yeah, you can see different tradesmen here as well. There might even be... back out having a look at Tommaso Sani's work again. His characters that he sculpted on the side here, when they were unveiled in 1883, there was a lot of criticism. A lot of people wanted to have them torn down. I can see the artistry gone into them, but I must admit they do look a bit out of place when you compare them to the other sculptures on the building. But he definitely captured... One of the things he wanted to do was to capture the times. And these are definitely the sort of people that would have been walking around in the early colony. Looks like a little kid carrying a fruit bowl there. Now let's go and find that Australian flora and fauna column. If I don't find it soon, I might have to give up and just post in a photo off the net for you. But I'd just like to see once the one that I saw on the net, which to me looked like it had a sculpted lorikeet posted in it. Yeah, but as I said before, I had no idea these sculptures existed. All I ever looked at when I walked past the GPO was the actual building itself and maybe the clock tower. I never paid any attention to the actual sculptures on the facade of the building. Looks like something up there. Nah. Looks like I'm going to have to give up. I'm going to have to post a photo of that particular one with the bird. Oh, I just noticed this lampshade here's got some cameras on the bottom of it, spying on me. What about these grey ones? Do they have it? Nah, I'm not going to find it. Let's get in and have a little skirt through the city now. Just while we're here, I'm looking up at the clock tower now at the GPO. Another thing that I didn't know until I started looking through the history, this clock tower was dismantled in 1942. They took the clock away. And if my memory serves correct, I think they stored it in Maroubra somewhere, the clock. And the reason why they dismantled it in 1942 was due to World War II. They thought that it might be too visible and easy to target for an air attack. And before you laugh, Australia did get attacked by the Japanese in World War II. Sydney itself as well. Sydney itself was bombed via offshore submarine, was shelled. There's a park in the eastern suburbs called Cooper Park that held the craters of those blasts back in those days. And then also we had a bunch of midget submarines enter into Sydney Harbour and sink some ships. I think they ended up sinking a ferry rather than a military vessel. But yeah, later the clock tower there was reassembled in the 60s. So I don't know how much of it's original and how much has been added, but there you go. Another little bit of history that I had no idea about. Now I've got to get my skates on because I've got to pick up some lunch and get moving. So we'll have a little skirt down George Street, I think, and I'll film this for as long as I can before the camera inevitably overheats and shuts down. As I walk down George Street, I'm still having a look up at the columns here to see if I can spot the bird. Well hidden. or the tram up there runs me over. Do a quick pan around both sides of George Street, up and down, north and south. It's a little bit warmer now. Must be approaching the 20 degrees mark, because I was a bit worried before. I thought I might have needed a little jumper or hoodie or something, because it was a bit cool in the morning. I look behind me, make sure a car doesn't come through and clip me. That sound of the cars driving over the light rail tracks reminds me of Melbourne so much. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be that sort of Friday. The sun's going to come out and then it's going to rain again, and the sun's going to come out. Grey clouds are going to skirt the sky. Finally, autumn has arrived in Sydney. In saying that though, I already looked at the weather for next week. We're supposed to have, I think Tuesday, Wednesday, I think we're supposed to have consecutive days of 25 degrees Celsius, and maybe even 26. So the warmth isn't giving up just yet, but definitely the mornings and the nights are a lot cooler. Get out of the way of the light rail behind me. Off to Randwick, that one. If you're interested, the last stop for this light rail is outside Prince of Wales Hospital. Just before you get to Randwick Junction. And then the other one goes out to South Sydney Juniors Club at Kingsford. These guys are accidentally going to drop a couple of $100,000 on the pavement for me. Probably not. Guy's keen running along the light rail tracks. Be worried to slip over. Still plenty of cars making their way down Market Street there, and all the shoppers are out and about. What time is it? It's 10 to noon. I've really got to get my skates on now. Geez, you don't see that too often. This guy's taking photos with an iPad. Queen Victoria building. Might have to do a bit of a scan of the history books for that as well to see what I've missed with that building. He was sneaking in the side entrance, no doubt going in there to have a delicious coffee, a couple of cheeky cakes. Yeah, but I hope you enjoyed that little expose on the GPO. I'd never paid any attention to those sculptures on the keystones. I'm glad I've had a look at it now. This office work over here's got the mail, or maybe he's a student, I don't know. He's found out that the workshop espresso is a good place to stop for a quick takeout. And that bench that he's using, I've stopped there many a time myself. Town Hall in all its glory over there. Well, that might be a good place to finish. So as we look up at Town Hall on the intersection of Park and George, thank you for coming on the skirt around the city today, and especially having a look at the GPO with me. Again, check out that guy's Instagram channel, john.lockedin. He does some great little vids, that guy. And he was the one that informed me about those sculptures that I'd never paid any attention to. So good on him. So until next time, thanks for coming on the skirt around the city. That security guard there is trying to stop that guy coming in with his scooter by the looks of it, or maybe he's just giving him directions, I don't know. But yeah, see you in the next vid. The video is over.